Happy Friday, everybody. This is Eric Stafford, aka Sitecore Superman, and I'll be covering when good templates go bad, enhancing the editor's experience in the content editor. It's not the template's fault, so what causes templates to go bad? It could be poor requirements at the beginning of development. Later on, it could be requirements change, content entry has started, and that makes fixing templates a little more difficult. Also, improper template inheritance can cause a lot of issues. And finally, clients and their crazy requests. What are our options to fix these issues? We can reconstruct the templates, but these present various issues. We can spend numerous hours analyzing each template and its fields to determine where they are used and how best to reconstruct them. It could lead to possible loss of data, which is not a good thing. And then we'll need to rework the views, models, and code to reflect the changes made in the templates. This could lead to a lot of hours, which can be really expensive. So maybe we rebuild the site. That might make a little more sense. But if the client is not willing to spend the money, we could always use my module enhance the editor experience. How can the enhance the editor experience module help my site? By using the rules engine, we can create rules that target items based on path, template, ID, etc., and trigger actions on fields and sections. For fields, we can change the data source on fields that make use of the source field, such as multi-list, tree list, and drop link, and images, etc. We can hide the field depending on whether it's not used in a certain section or not. We could display an alternate field name to fit its purpose depending on the section. This also works in the Experience editor. We could display an alternate short description, and we can change the look of the field label using inline styles. That's not a very important feature, but I just threw that in there for fun. Sections, we can hide the section if it's not used in a certain area. Hide it. It'll help clean things up so the content author isn't that overwhelmed. We can change the section name and change the look of the section panel using inline styles. For a large amount of modifications, we can use the map file action and map to a custom XML file. And I'll show you an example of that later on. Example 1, modifying a horrible bad base content template. In 2014, when I started at Paragon, my first project I was put on was a maintenance project, and they had a base content template that was inherited by every page template on the site. There were 18 inherited templates, inherited base templates, 70 plus total fields, and even the most basic page had all these fields, like the privacy policy. Not only that, the site was not optimized for the experience editor, so it was tough to tell where the fields are being used on the page, if at all, and that led to a lot of confusion. Here's an example of the bad base content page. As you can see, there's 17 sections here. It ranges from microsite, interior page data, calls to action, banners, analytics, right side callouts, geo-coded data, you name it, it has it. And if we're making a privacy policy page, all we really need is the page content and maybe navigation settings and one or two more sections. So how do we fix such horrible architecture? Well, we can navigate down to the rules area, and we can create a rule to fix the bad template. If we view the rule, we can see that where the item ID is equal to modified base content page, that's the fixed page, will map to the basic content page XML file. That XML file looks like this right here. It has the sections, the section name, and in the hide element, we set it to true, so it's going to be hidden when the rule is run. If we view the modified base content page, we can see we narrowed down the fields to these 6, and so the content author is not overwhelmed. They can find the page content section quite easily, modify the content, navigation settings, and their day has just been made a little bit easier, in my opinion. Example 2, making general use field names more descriptive. What do I mean by general use field names? Some sites we might want to have single field based templates. These could contain only one field, such as heading, title, text, rich text 2, image, image 2, etc. These then will be base templates for other templates, and the pros of this approach are cleaner models if you're using an ORM like Glass, and it makes search configuration much easier. The cons to this approach is it's confusing to the content author using the content editor. When they look at the content item, they have no idea where rich text goes, or rich text 2, image, image 2. It's very ambiguous and can lead to some frustration. To alleviate that, the developer usually has to write documentation, and that's something I would say 99% of developers do not like doing. So next I'll show you an example of how to fix this issue. On this template, we have 2 fields, title and text. Title can mean quite a bit of things, such as page title, and text. Text is more ambiguous as it doesn't really describe its purpose. It could be the main content of the page, it could be text in the footer, header, right column, left column. Who knows for sure when you're in the content editor. So to fix this, we would just go down to the rules and create a rule like where the item ID is equal to experience editor example after, display title as headline, display text as copy, and set text's short description as this description has been modified by a rule. I come from a print agency. I spent 6 years there as a web developer, and so headline and copy are very familiar to me. That's how I refer to an H1 or main content. Yeah, you can call it whatever you want. So we go back up to the after item, and now you can see that title has been replaced by headline and text has been replaced by copy, and same with the short description. Now if we go into the experience editor, we can see that before text shows up here, it's pretty self-explanatory of where it goes on the page visually, and same with title. But to keep the content editor and the experience editor in sync, we modify it so now text becomes copy and title becomes headline. Our final example is one template that's used as a base for different data types. After analyzing the requirements and designs, we determine that articles and blogs are basically the same, but with minor differences in layout. So we create an article data template. Next, we create an article page template and blog page template, both inheriting the article data template, and we assign the appropriate renderings. Rushing through, we didn't give much consideration to the field names. They make sense for articles, but not so much for blogs. Later on, a fictional project manager named Jeremy decides to throw us a new requirement. The author field needs to pull from 2 different sources depending on the type. So without major rework, this is possible through the rules. We come down here to the rules and we will modify the author's field source. So we create the rule and specify where the template or the item template is the blog page, set the article author to author's blog only. Rule 2, where the item template is article page, set the source to article only. Let's see this in action. We come down here to global data. We see we have articles only and blogs only. Next, we go into the content and we see a blog and an article. This is one of my personal blogs from my Sitecore Superman site. Dang it, Carl. Tips to avoid being the least favorite character on your Sitecore project. It's a Walking Dead themed blog. I suggest you read it. It's pretty good. Anyways, we could see that now the author field is pulling from blogs only. If we click on the article, we can see that the inline style works, but we can also see the article author points to article only, which consists of Eric Stafford, myself, and our fictional project manager, Jeremy. So this field is shared between both. Both are the same, it's just the source is controlled by the rule. If you notice by my blog page template that inherits from the article, you can see all these modifications to the labels. This is done by mapping to an XML document. Down in the rules, we create a rule to map article item to blog item. So basically, it says where the item is blog item or one of its descendants, map the file article to blog mapping. It's pretty simple. You don't need to specify any IDs. This will be pulled in only if it is a blog item because of the rule condition. So we set the original name, which is required, and then we set the new title. So article content becomes blog content, article title becomes blog title, article summary becomes blog summary, and so forth. We can also set the source of the field in this as well. And this is also showing us how to hide a article specific section. So if we go back to the article, we can see that the article specific content section is visible. If we go down to the blog, it's no longer visible. So what's in the future of this module? Well, the new features that are in development is sorting the fields, sorting the sections, and the ability to customize the quick info section. I'm not sure what I want to customize in that section, so if you guys have any ideas, please leave a comment in the comment section below, and I will try to work that into this module. I also have another idea that's actually really interesting that my project manager came up with, and I don't want to give it away, but it should be released in the next version. It should help content authors be more productive while using the content editor. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up or whatever. I appreciate it. Thank you and have a great weekend.